Miss Angela Stribling and Mr. Tony Cornelius.
Can we compliment Angela on her outfit? What is going on here? Sexy mama. Sexy mama.
Well, thank you, sexy papa.
Sexy mama.
Well,
No,
welcome
if I
to
put my shirt down a little
All
bit, then
Access Pass. Tony, you are so, yeah, do it. One more button. How's everybody doing? Having fun?
Are we having a good
Pacing?
time on the Soul Train cruise? Okay, all right.
Wow, how many
got the
were
right
at the
time.
Morris Day concert last night? That was fun, right?
It was fantastic. It was fantastic.
You know, Tony.
You don't have my mirror. I need my mirror, you know.
You don't need a mirror. You did a great job introducing the band last night.
Well,
I
I
have to
try.
say. So we're going to find out what's on Morris Day's mind in a few minutes and talk to him about what he's been up to. That's what we're here for, right?
So anyway,
Do the honors.
let's do it. Morris Day.
That's what's up.
The mic. Look at that. Look at that.
Got some real fans here.
That's the real deal right there.
Yeah.
You're looking at the real deal.
What's up, y'all? It's all good.
This is actually Morris Day's. It's his second or third cruise, so he loves the Soul Train cruise.
Well, the thing is, I've been a part of Soul Train most of my professional career. Back in the day when we got started, we did it back when Don was still doing the damn thing. So, yeah, I'm a part of this whole thing, you know? I got history in the game, you know?
That's right.
We
love Morris. Morris was there with us from the very beginning.
Yeah, for sure.
Do you remember the first time you saw Morris Day in the time?
It was out of sight. It was just unbelievable. Just his the way he dressed, the way his movements. It was nothing we'd had ever seen before. You know.
I felt the same way. And you came on my radar with Purple Rain. And I know Prince discovered you guys in, what, 1981? He formed the band?
Well, it wasn't a discovery thing. We was friends as kids. You know, we played in bands together since we was like 13 years old. So he got the first break. He came back and helped me get my thing going. So it wasn't a discovery thing. It was just a friend thing, you know. Yeah.
But he did put together the time. No?
Well, we put together the time.
Okay. Let's get it straight. I love
I
it.
wanted to ask, I always wanted to ask Morris
Yeah.
this question. Where did you get your thing from? I mean, did you learn? Was it from the street? Was it a pimp somewhere? Was it a, you know, where did this come from?
Okay, you know, you hit on a good point there when you said pimp, but we'll get to that. I just, you know, I was going to be the drummer, if y'all know the story. I was going to be the drummer of the band. I'm a drummer by nature. That was my first love, and I didn't want to sing. I used to, back in the day when we were playing as kids, I would, you know, I had the little mic over my drums. I would sing songs every now and then, but I never planned on, huh? Well, nah, yeah, we'll get to that. But no, I would sing every now and then, but I didn't want to be a singer. We put the band together, and actually Alexander O'Neill was supposed to be the lead singer.
Really?
That's what's happened. That's what happened when you drink too many martinis. You start knocking the glass over, huh? No, but Alexander O'Neill was supposed to be the singer, and he wanted more than we could offer up at the time, and so Prince was like, well, why don't you sing? And I said, I don't want to sing. I want to be the drummer. But I'm glad I did, you know. And so I got out there. I said, I don't know what to do. He said, just put your hand in your pocket and be cool. So I said, I could do that.
Yes.
And if you watch the video of Cool, the first video we did, that's exactly what I did. My right hand hardly ever came out of my pocket.
Wow.
And that's what I did. And then, you know, as we kept going, I started adding a little bit here and there. And my grandfather, you know, and I'm not saying this as a bad thing, but he was a pimp, okay? And so I kind of saw pictures of him and how he used to dress with the overcoats, the zoot suits, the hats, all that good stuff. And I kind of caught on to to that. Yeah. Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, you know, to circle back to your, your question, you know what I'm saying?
Hey, you know, they say pimping ain't easy, but somebody got to do it, okay?
But he makes it look
and
so
hold
I'm
on,
from.
hold on, Tony. I am a pimp, but hold on, y'all. See, you got quiet on me.
We all did.
A person in music production.
Okay.
I see what you did there. I like what you did there. You know what? Okay, so you looked at your grandfather and how, he had so much style and a lot of extra.
Yeah.
But then how did you come up with I mean, other than that, you just decided to put your own stamp on it. How did you come up with your own style?
Well, I just have to say it must be what I was meant to do because, like I said, I was a drummer. I had no intention of being a singer. And like I said, with it, we started saying, okay, put your hand in your pocket and be cool, and it just evolved. I started doing little things. I get on stage, and, we're on stage night after night once we got our deal, and we were out there touring, and, it just kind of evolved. It's hard to say, but I guess it was just in me to do what I do.
Well, and another thing I wanted to ask, and I'm sure people have asked you this many, many times, your experience with Prince, was there something special about your relationship with him, or were there things that that we don't know about
Absolutely no.
Prince?
I mean, well, yeah, there's a lot of things, but he was just a special individual. His work ethic, his professionalism, it developed back when we were kids, and he just always had the energy to want to do the music. And there was times when we took turns. Our parents let us rehearse in the basements, and we took turns, like Andre Simone. We rehearsed at his house most of the time. Sometimes we rehearsed at my house. And we had the recording equipment, a little 2-track recorder, when we were at my house, and this dude wanted to come by my house every day. We rehearsed pretty much every day. But aside from that, he wanted to record every day, and there's days when I just didn't feel like doing that. So there was times when I'd be in my house, and, we had a little house north side Minneapolis, which probably was about 1,500 square feet, and he would come over. I'd try and act like I wasn't home. He started knocking on the front door. I wouldn't answer. And then I'd duck down. I'd see a shadow going around the side of the house to the back door.
That is funny.
Knocking on my door, and it would go on for about 20, 30 minutes until he just finally decided either I wasn't home or I wasn't going to answer the damn door. But he just always had that work ethic. Even back then, he already had maybe 100 songs that he had written in his little notebook, and he was just that kind of guy.
I'm a major Prince fan, just like most people.
Yeah.
And in the movie Purple Rain, there was a rivalry between you guys, of course. Yeah. I'm sure a lot of people thought that was true.
Yeah, it was.
Okay. Well, that was my question. How much of that was true?
Well, I think what happened was he sort of created the Frankenstein monster, if you will. He thought, okay, I'm going to get Morris this deal, and then we started to really get good at it, because like I said, I wasn't a singer, and I wasn't a front person, and so I started to get good at it. And so on tour, it started to come back where, the time kicked Prince's ass last night. And, there's a lot of times when, of course, he, kicked our ass too. So I'm not trying to say that, but there were nights when the press came back and said the time just outshined him. And for that reason, there were markets that we weren't welcome in. L.A., New York, sort of some of the major markets, he was like, I'm just not going to let you cats on because I don't want to take that chance. So there was somewhat of a rivalry.
Wow.
Yeah.
And the group, The Time, where did that name, what inspired that name?
Oh, that was Prince. He said, he wanted to put the thing together. The first name was called The Nerve.
The what?
Nerve.
Wow.
Like you got the nerve, you know what I'm saying? But he wanted to come up with a name that people said every day. And the time, what time is it? To this day, there's people who might not know who I am, and they come up to me and ask me, what time is it? I kind of smile. They're like, no, seriously, what time is it? So that was the whole, the reason behind that,
Congratulations on a great performance last night.
Well, thank you.
Whoa.
That's right.
I was on my feet the whole time dancing. And, you know, when the ship rocks a little bit, I'm like, okay, I'm not trying to fall in here.
Yeah.
But you were dancing a lot and singing. Is it a little tough or?
The first show was cool. It was, you know, just mild. But the second show, it was tough. I mean, just standing still was tough. You know, I know one of the young ladies came on stage and, you know, did the dance with me and the guitar player, and she was like, yeah, there you are. Okay. Hey, it was difficult, wasn't it? No, it was really rough. That was one of the roughest times I've ever had on stage last night, that second show. It really was.
No one ever knew, though, did they?
Yeah, thank you.
Well, you know.
And thanks for lying. Y'all know I look like us. Oh, thank you. Appreciate it.
Now, you know, the other thing that I find interesting is that you've always been comfortable with who you are. You know, I mean, in the business, people are constantly trying to recreate themselves and reinvent themselves. Has that been something that you've been concerned about over the years? Where music has changed? Have you also tried to change yourself as well? I mean,
you know, I've thought about it. I've thought about it. But you know, a lot of comments that I get from people was similar to what you said, Tony. It was like people say, Moore seems to know who he is. You know what I'm saying? So I think, like you said, there's people who want to reinvent themselves every year or every record or every 2 years or whatever. And I guess maybe that's just a publicity ploy or whatever, you know, to just keep people on board. But, you know, I've just never known how to be anybody but myself. Now, however, thank you for that. I got one clap out of that. I like that.
Yeah, that's better.
However, if you see me with my family, which I have my little son around here somewhere,
he's adorable.
But you know, I'll tell you, I'm totally different like that, you know. So I do have an on and off switch. There was a day when I only had the on switch. So wherever you saw me, I was that person that you wanted to see. I'm doing the bird, I'm laughing loud, I'm talking shit, and I'm doing all of that. But now I definitely have the off switch. So, you know, I know when to be Morris Day on stage, and I know when to be Morris Day who's with his family and all that good stuff, you know. So after a while, you'll learn that stuff.
You know, you've got another career, not only Morris Day and the Time, but acting. Tell us about that. Is that something that you're still pursuing?
I'm not a big fan of acting, to be honest with you. It was something that happened. Prince came, he's like, we're going to do a movie. I was like, okay, cool. And we did the movie, and it came out great. I found in that process that I'm not a big fan of acting. I'm more of a musician because I like being my own boss. Acting, they tell you to get up at 4 in the morning, and you get dressed, you get makeup, and then you sit and you wait 3 or 4 hours, and they tell you when to come out. And it's a cool thing. I'm glad I experienced it. I experienced it at a high level because Purple Rain, thank God, was a blockbuster movie. And it was just a good thing to be a part of something like that. You know what I mean?
Right. You know, there was another thing that always fascinated me is that sound of that bird that you used to make. I have no idea where you got it from. But before you leave here today, we gotta get you to do that.
We gotta do it.
We gotta get you to do that.
I heard a couple bird sounds in the audience there. What was that?
Where did the bird come from?
Well, there's a lot of people who make that sound better than I do. But, you know, that sound just came from me. I always, especially when I was younger, I had a very obnoxious laugh. And I used to laugh really loud. And that's where the whole laugh thing came from that I do on the records and stuff. And our whole goal was to try and bring some of our craziness that we had in real life to our records and just make them, you know, fun and, you know, to put the personality on them. So it really just kind of all came from that. Yeah, it was all about our backstage and our at the clubs and our hanging out, our madness. We brought it all to the records.
You want to give us a little example of how to do it, a tutorial?
Is there a key to
right?
doing the bird? I mean,
Yeah,
can we get you to do something like that more?
A key to doing what, Tony?
The bird.
The
The
bird.
bird. I mean, I mean,
Okay, well,
I meant the
only
sound.
you could do that move.
let
you
me.
know?
No, I'm not. Everybody could do that. That's the whole idea behind it. No, so let's go back. All right. So first, let me preface this by saying, and don't hate me for it, but the bird actually came from guess what? Y'all all seen them, the Flintstones, okay?
What? Are you serious?
They used to do a dance called the pterodactyl. Don't tell me you don't remember that.
Okay.
So we kind of took the pterodactyl and put the fast forward on it and renamed it
Okay.
and put a groove to it. And it's the bird, y'all. You know, so you know, ain't no kids in the room. Maybe my son, but other than that, y'all got to know about that.
I love it. I was talking about the sound, though.
Oh, the sound. All right.
Yeah, go for it. Someone said, what key is that? So you want to give us that little sound? Ooh.
You might be putting Morris on the spot
You
now.
think
Come
so?
on,
Well,
you know.
everybody,
You feel like-
everybody heard the sound last night.
I hear some residual sound.
Nah, it's all good. You know, we got it.
See?
Thank you for that.
Nobody can do it like that. Nobody can do it like that.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. So is there an art to, someone said it one more time.
No,
You know.
don't ask him to do that
I
again.
know.
He
There's
did
like
what
there's
he-
like an art to it. You got to.
What's being recorded, so we'll play it back for you in a minute.
Absolutely.
Right.
See, but
So I just wanted to know, okay, I'm happy that you're touring. You've had a very long career. I mean, to have started in 1981,
Yeah.
and here we are in 2019, and
Yeah.
you're still
Can you
touring.
believe it?
And
Yeah.
I can, and I'm so happy about it.
Yeah, thank you.
So yeah, like from here, are you still writing music and churning out new music?
Yeah, well, music is in my blood. So every day, you know, there's ideas bouncing around in my head, and some of them make it to, it's not tape anymore, to the hard drive, I guess. And some of them, you know, just float around. But, you know, it's just what I do. Now, whether it surfaces or not, that's a whole nother thing. You know, you got a lot of kids out there, you know, doing the thing, and they're doing it well. You know, I don't think they do it as well as we did, but, you know, there's a lot of very talented people out there. I talked about Bruno Mars in my show, very talented cat.
Yeah.
You know, there's people that I like. I guess if I have to say there's a problem that I have with music today is the real musicianship. It exists, but it doesn't exist as much as it did, you know, when I
Nowhere
came
near.
out, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're so right.
You know, where I came up, there was a band every other block. They playing instruments, and they were really good, and that's what it was all about. Now there's a computer in every house, and everybody, you know. I mean, these kids are super talented, they're super smart, don't get me wrong, but it's just a different era, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
you
was.
know, since I've been sitting here, I'm watching Morris's legs crossed and your legs crossed, and I'm sitting here like a chump. So I'm gonna get stylish with it too.
Yeah.
All right? So we good now.
Yeah.
We good.
Yeah, we
Now
good.
you're cool.
I'm starting to feel the energy. Here, you know. Yeah, but
See,
Morris,
Tony,
I've
you're
really
so
enjoyed
cool.
you over the years, and I know things have changed in the business. Is
Yeah.
there anything that you've seen come and go when it comes? I mean, you just explained the things about music, but if you were a young musician right now, where do you think your focus would be?
Well, my focus would be where it's always been. It would be on the music, but I guess as each generation comes along, your introduction is different. So, you know, where mine was playing instruments and actually doing everything. When we went in the studio, I guess maybe a synthesizer was considered cheating to who am I trying to say? To Duke Ellington, he'd be like, why don't you have a horn section up there and some real strings? You know, he'd probably be like, you guys are cheating. You know, and so we come along and we're using synthesizers to do horn lines and to do a lot of fill-in lines, and now the kids are using computers. Some of them can play. I have one of my older sons, Darren Day, Derran. If y'all haven't heard about him, look him up. He's probably one of the greatest singers you'll ever hear. He took it to a whole nother level, and we had him formally trained. You know, he went to Berklee School of Music in Boston, and you know, so you know, I mean, he's a real musician. And this day and age, that type of training is very hard to find. And even in my era, it was hard to find because our parents didn't have the money to send us to any institutions like that. So we had to get those records and put our ears close to the speakers and learn what we learned. But at the end of the day, it's all good. But right now, I don't know how I would fare in this industry. I really don't know, because my introduction was real music. So if you listen to the Time records, especially the early records, anything you heard, if you heard hand claps, we was in there getting calluses on our hands, doing multiple tracks of hand claps, and it's all real stuff. You know, there was no computers and nothing fake. You know, so.
I love that. Live musicians on
Yeah.
a record. That's a
Yeah.
good concept.
Yeah.
Well, and I like that explanation as well. I mean, he really talked about how things have transformed, and it depends on when you were born,
Right.
you know, and
Yeah.
what's going on at that time. You
Yeah.
know, so that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it's just all these young kids. Even our kids. You know, they can get on computers, they can get on the phones, and they don't have to read no manuals. You don't have to tell them nothing, and they work them like they was just born to do it. And that's that's the world that we're born into. You know?
There's this artist I played on my radio show recently, Josh X, featuring Rick Ross, and it was so good because he had live musicians, real young cat.
Yeah.
I'm saying I hope this is a trend.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with him?
No, I'm not, but I will look for him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. Not that I
You know,
need
a
to
lot
get
of
him any
times we have
endorsement.
artists on the show, and we talk about when music is replayed and redone and remastered, where they're taking your music and doing other things with it. What's your feeling about that as well? Sampling.
I don't have any problem, with any form or however, they get to what they do. I'm not going to say I like it all. Right now, and that's another thing that I want to mention, now for me, I'm a song person. Back in the day, I had my favorite groups, and they brought it. You know what I'm saying? I could rely on them to give me the music that I wanted to hear. And you know what I'm talking about. Parliament, Funkadelic, Cameo, Earth, Wind, and Fire. Back in the day, you could depend on them. You didn't have to, you could buy the whole album. You hear one song, you buy the whole album. You knew it was going to be good.
Yeah.
And that's just how it was. Now, I'm a song person. Some of these kids, they have songs that I like. Mm-hmm. But I won't venture to buy the whole CD because chances are it's not going to be good, so that's just how it is,
Yeah. That's good stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, I love the fact that you're so funky. I mean, your bass line, just everything, the music, even before you open your mouth, people are in the groove. And consistently, you've had that same funky groove in all of your songs. It's Morris Day and the Time. Even before you hear someone start singing, your signature.
Well, thank you, Angela. That I really have to point the finger at Prince. He really helped us put together a sound that now is called famously called the Minneapolis sound, and that goes back to me saying like Duke Ellington probably would be like, y'all faking the funk, because we didn't want the 12-piece band. We didn't want the horn sections. So he started back in the day doing horn lines on the keyboards. Oh. And that's how we did it. So he started that when we were crafting the Times music, which the early Time records, it was just he and I in the studio. We pretty much did everything. And that's how we did it. And that became a signature sound for us that we still use to this day.
And when it comes to that mirror that you have on stage, talk to me about how that happened. How did that particularly happen?
Well, that happened. Y'all know Jerome. Yeah. Yeah. Well, Jerome's choosing to do other things right now, and
New Jerome.
Yeah. So Oh, y'all know Jimmy Jam. Jimmy Jam's wealthy. He's spending that Janet Jackson money. But we stay in touch, all my brothers, we stay in touch, it's family. But the whole mirror thing started when we did the song Cool. It wasn't once we recorded, but we were rehearsing. And we were getting ready to go on tour, and Jerome was always around. He used to help us do luggage, whatever we needed to do. Jerome was happy to do it. And we were at rehearsal, and the part of the song came, and I said, somebody bring me a mirror. And he ran in the bathroom, snatched the mirror off the wall.
Oh my God.
He brought it out and held it up, and everybody kind of stopped and was looking. We're like, that's part of the show.
Cool.
That's going to be part of the show. So he was part of the group ever since then.
And then was there a little bit of James Brown influence with the coat?
Oh, James Brown is like all up and through everything that I do. I mean, I can't get away from James Brown. He was one of my favorites as a kid. Yeah, 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 yeah.
You know, when it comes to showmanship, you know, he's up there at the very top. Wouldn't
No
you agree with
question.
that?
No question about it. No question.
Well, thank you. Appreciate that. Yeah.
And then I guess one of my last questions to you is when it comes to your relationship with Prince. I mean, I have to bring up his name
Sure.
because, you know, he was part of.
He's part of my
the-
life,
part
part
of
of
your
everything,
life. I
yeah,
mean,
yeah.
was there any particular feelings that you had when we lost him or anything?
Prince and I had a very much love-hate relationship. You know, he was one of the most openly blunt, shrewd individuals
Really?
you will ever meet in your lifetime. And so sometimes that worked in a good way, and sometimes that worked in I want to choke you right now kind of way, you know. So we, I come over to his house. Sometimes he happy, let's cut, you know. And then, there's times I came over his house and I just had that personality. I come in laughing, I come in talking shit, and he's like, you know what? Will you get out of my house right now?
Oh, really?
And I look at him like, are you kidding me? And then here comes Big Chick, the security. Morris, you have to leave. Okay. So it was definitely love-hate, but more love than hate. You know, it was a big loss in my life, and it kind of boomeranged. It was a boomerang effect for me because when I heard, I was on a plane on a layover in Chicago on my way to Florida, and I heard the news, and it didn't really hit me. You know, because I don't think I believed it. I think I was in denial, you know what I'm saying? And then later on that night, about midnight, it hit me like a ton of bricks. I'm like, wait a minute. And then the whole history flashed from when we were kids.
Wow.
And then I realized what a great loss it was for me personally.
Yeah.
Not to make it personal, I know the world had a great loss, but for me personal,
Yeah.
all of those memories and feelings surfaced at that point.
Yeah. But you had a personal relationship with him
Yeah.
since you were kids.
Since we were kids.
When was the last time you talked to him, and what was that conversation?
Oh, damn. I got a book coming out, y'all. And I don't want to give away the last chapter.
Give us a little bit. Oh, okay. Just give us a little
Angela's
bit.
got a show called Pillow Talk, and
I
she likes to know
do.
everybody's business.
I
You know what
Okay.
I'm saying?
do.
So,
Well,
you know.
I like that show, but ain't no pillow talk to talk about.
No, okay then. Well, could
No,
you-
but no, to
just
answer
a
your
little bit?
question, the last time, 2 months before he passed, he was adamant about, now, he had asked us to do shows for him before. He had us come out to Minneapolis, and like I'm saying, this is the shrewd cat. So he had us come out, fly my whole band in, put us up at hotels. We're supposed to do a show with him at the Target Center in Minneapolis. And like an hour before the show, get a call, Prince changed his mind. He doesn't want y'all on the show tonight.
Are you serious?
So we're sitting there. So okay, I'm setting something up here. So what happened from there was after those times that he would call after that, want us to do shows. I said, you have to send the money up front. You have to send the money up front because that shit you did to me in Minneapolis that time, I'm not doing that with you anymore. Okay, so 2 months before he passed, Paisley Park, he wants us to do a show. I said, you got to send me the money up front. He sent the money. It's sitting in my account. That struck me as odd because he's a shrewd dude. He doesn't want to do anything advanced. He's Prince. He's like, if I say I want you to do a show for me, then I want you to do a show for me. But I'm like, no, it ain't going that way. So he put the money in my account. We do the show. Saw him, so happy to see us. He was dancing and all into it. And before the show, after the show, we talked and all that. And on the way back, I'm in the halls of Paisley Park. I'm coming down this dark hallway. Of course, there's people like, oh, Prince would like to see you now. And I'm going down this dark hallway, and out of the darkness, I hear this clapping, like, and he walks out, bravo, bravo. He's like, you guys are great, you know.
Wow.
And we went into the little cafeteria. We talked, and that was it, you know. So, 2 months later, we got the news, and, that was it. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
God bless you.
And on that note, We are so honored to have Morris Day here.
Yes, we
And
are.
he had a wonderful performance.
Yes, we are. Come on, better than that. Morris Day.
Morris Day and
We
the
love
time.
you. And Tony Cornelius, Angela Stribling, all access pass. Thank you so much.
Thank you.